He's swinging through the city, Jamie.
That was great.
Coming for you. The Amazing Spider-Man. We love him. Welcome to a freestyle impromptu live stream, guys. We're going to hang out, talk Spider-Man, the influences on my Arachnid Enforcer Kickstarter that's coming up, and check out Spider-Man work that I've produced for Marvel over the years. Some fun, some embarrassing things. Jamie, can we get into and the wonderful Jazzy Jamie Wood joining me tonight. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Pleasure as always, Jim. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. Let's get into a little, well, actually, before you do that, I wanted to show guys, I am, if you can believe it, a professional freelance working cartoonist. I do variant covers. Look at that, my first foil. We got some foil. This is technically the first one. This is the first issue, Big Rig, Post Malone. We got foil. We got Heavy Metal Magazine, guys. We got prints, all available on the website, jimmahfood.com, in the shop. Everything comes signed and remarked for your collecting pleasure. Now we can go on.
Let's do it.
Oops, as I drop stuff. Big Spider-Man week. I'm forcing all this on all my friends and family. Chris Pierce, Comic Tropes, you know him. We love him. He's a legend in the scene. Him and I sat down. What is Chris? Jim spent $6,000 on his Spider-Man mask for marketing purposes. That's true. It's a very expensive mask I picked up. But I forced Chris to watch the original 1977 live-action Spider-Man made-for-TV movie. This just went up a couple days ago on the Comic Tropes After Dark YouTube channel. We had a blast watching this. Check it out when you get a chance. Killer job editing this one, Jamie, as always.
Thank you, Jim.
As far as Arachnid Enforcer Kickstarter stuff goes, I wanted to show some new images tonight. We have the incredible Derek Loftman providing this gorgeous print that will be available during the Arachnid Enforcer campaign, launching October 1st. Derek is the current artist of I Hate Fairyland. You all know him. He's amazing. Comic art, video game art, animation. Beautiful piece, man. Look at this thing. This is an exclusive to the Kickstarter. I drew this animal piece during our Muppet themed show with Brett Bean on Ink Pulp Live. Threw it on over to my buddy Mike Spicer. Mike laid down the sick colors on this thing. It's called the Funky Drummer. The reason I'm offering it in the campaign is the Funky Drummer is the cousin of Gangster Boogie, Arachnid Enforcer's sidekick manager. So available exclusively and only through the Kickstarter. Beautiful new print. Mike Del Mundo, good Lord, the man, the myth, the legend, provides us with the first variant cover for Arachnid Enforcer. This will be available in the campaign. I've got two other artists, top secret. I will announce them when I get some art in, that will be doing covers as well. And these are just some spreads, some examples of the pages for Arachnid Enforcer. These aren't lettered yet, but my buddy Ross Meyer is putting these together because we're building the actual Kickstarter page right now. So it's kind of cool just to see what the stuff looks like laid out, you know, in book form. It's coming together, you guys. I'll have original art available through the Kickstarter as well. So here's an example of one of the pieces that you can purchase. And yeah, this is the actual page. Where are we at? 717 followers. Okay, it keeps going up. That's a good sign. Spread the word, guys. Let the people know. I I've said it a billion times. October 1st, you guys all know, if you're in the stream, you know what's going on. 48 pages of super fun, spookified, Halloween themed superhero parody, creeptastic, sexy, sensual, mystical comics, Jamie.
I was waiting to see how many adjectives you had right there. That was a good list.
I'm getting into that, like Stan Lee, like in the credits of the old Marvel comics, where it was like, that's where like jazzy Jamie Wood comes from, where everyone,
I know, and that's a privilege, Jim. It really is.
Everyone has to have smiling or jazzy or sensational.
Never give yourself one though. I feel like you need one, Jim.
Yeah, Jimmy Jams. I mean, that's not really exactly the there needs to be an adjective in front of that. So
we're taking suggestions in the comments.
Yeah, we'll take suggestions. West Coast Dave, Steve Coffin, Rami Salami, Chris Pierce. Thank you for joining us. Who else is here? Daniel Goodwin. What up, dude? Sergio. I'm down for some OA, some original art. Hell yeah. Dr. Doom's fan club. Guys, super excited about this book. But let me start with what I've done with the actual character. Because I basically grew up as a Spider-Man fanatic. These are the first two books I picked up in 1985 when I was 10 years old. So this was on the shelf at the grocery store where I would go every Friday with my mom. And I just got completely sucked into this world of Spider-Man comics. I did not know that Marvel Tales were reprints of older material. This is reprints of the original Ditco drawn comics. And I was also confused that the current Amazing Spider-Man book, he had the black costume. Did not know what was going on with that at the time. So going through my stuff, Brian Bendis was so successful at Marvel with Ultimate Spider-Man that Marvel basically let him do Ultimate Marvel Team Up as just whatever he wanted to do, which meant him writing and bringing along all of his like indie weirdo friends to illustrate individual issues of the series. So I got issue 9 where he teams up with Fantastic Four, Spidey, with the FF, but he had people like Mike Allred, China Clugston Major, Ted McKeever, Bill Sienkiewicz, just people you wouldn't normally associate with Spider-Man, working on this title. So this is from about 25 years ago. This came out in like 2000. I got to do Herbie, the robot here. Old school FF cartoon. But yeah, I mean, this is my 25-year-old style, basically. And there's the FF, man. So this whole issue turns into a comedy issue where it's basically Mad Magazine style, where it turns into a parody. This is crazy. This page right here. I was at Ed Piskor Comic-Con this weekend in Pittsburgh, and a guy brought me this original page that he had framed. He bought this years ago, and so he paid me to do a remark on the pane of glass that this was framed in. So it was weird. I haven't seen the original in years, and he owns it. So there's Herbie again. But this turns into like the Skrull invade the Earth, and then everything goes sort of crazy. And Spidey has to swing into action. This is awesome. There was a contest in Wizard magazine, and you could win to appear in this issue. So this person is wearing a Marvel contest winner shirt, and then they get hit by the scroll and they get murdered. But I vividly remember the editor, Ralph Macchio, had to send me like photo reference of them, you know, and they got their appearance in the book. But this whole book is just a big joke, and to the point where Spider-Man and the bad guys smash through the Marvel offices. So we have Joe Quesada on the phone, lots of background jokes. This is all just nothing but background jokes. And Ralph Macchio is in it. Macchio rejected Bendis scripts here.
Are you in there somewhere, Jim?
I am. I'm right here. And this is me looking at hate mail Mahfood will receive after this book hits the stands. So, but pretty fun. I mean, my first time, we got a little Man Thing cameo.
That's
but my first time being paid money by Marvel Comics to draw Spider-Man.
Question from DC Wells there. He said, have you ever
sure.
thought about running contests like that for your own creator-owned work?
You know, that is actually a pretty good idea, and we could just do that through Ink Pulp Live's chat, basically. Like, whoever super chats or whatever gets to, what would it be? Whoever super chats the largest amount of money gets to appear in.
You could make it a tier on Kickstarter to buy.
What's that?
You could make it like a one-off tier on the Kickstarter for someone to buy.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So this was Michael Golden cover, by the way, on that. This was Bendis reuniting all of us, a bunch of artists, to do stuff for this Ultimate Spider-Man Super Special. So you got Frank Cho in here. You got Scott Morse. There's some of my stuff. Peter and MJ hanging out. The best piece in here is by Ashley Wood of Elektra.
That's so good.
Yeah. 2 issues. So the Bendis stuff got me on the radar of Marvel. I became friends with editor Axel Alonso. So he hired Zeb Wells and I to do this 2-issue Spider-Man Goes to MTV Spring Break. Kyle Baker rocked these 2 covers, which is incredible. Kyle Baker is absolutely amazing cartoonist. But this is like the Carson Daly era, 2000, 2001 era of MTV Spring Break. What year is this? This is 2002. Okay. 23 years ago, guys. This is my go for the ultimate spin, May 3rd. So when these books come out, when these issues come out, the Spider-Man movie, the first Sam Raimi one, is hitting theaters. So Time Warp Comics in Boulder, Colorado, flew me out. I stayed at Zeb Wells' house and partied with him and all of his roommates. And then him and I did a signing at Time Warp. And then we all went and saw the Spider-Man movie in the theater.
Chris Pierce saying that was the first free comic book day too.
Oh, was it really? 2002?
I don't think so.
That's awesome. But yeah, you know, I mean, this is, you know, it's like looking back at my old stuff from this era. It's pretty, I don't really care now, but it is pretty like embarrassing. Just a completely different approach, different style. This is more of my like, I call it almost like an animated style at this point. It's so simple and cartoony. Yeah. Spider-Man's Tangled Web. Spidey takes on the Rhino and the Grizzly. And this is written by Robbie Morrison. This is also 2002. This is when, like, in the early 2000s, Marvel started going through this trend of like bringing out C and D list characters and making them the spotlight of the comics. As you can see, like Spider-Man is barely in this. So they become like comedic slice of life comics. That's pretty funny. Him like chatting online with hot babes. So this also led to Wah-Huh, which was Bendis coordinating a Mad Magazine, What the Not Brand Ek Marvel style comedy book. 2005 on this. First page, guys. Cannot get away with this in a Marvel comic now. We got the Watcher peeping on a girl undressing and touching himself behind the shrub.
That's amazing.
Could not do this in a Marvel comic today. Bendis coordinated this and got Mark Miller. There's me and Mark Miller. Mark Miller, Brian K. Vaughan, Stan Lee, Ed Brubaker. There's Hip Hop Brubaker. Check him out.
That's genius.
Got all these guys to write short stories for me to illustrate. Here's a Stan Lee one-pager. That's pretty cool. Little young Peter Parker. What if the Ultimate Universe got ultimized? This is, see, I beat Scotty Young to the punch.
True.
I beat Scotty to the punch of the cute little kitty. I'm going to have to bring this to him next time we grab lunch.
I need to call him out, Jim. I need to throw the gauntlet there.
I need to call him out. What if Stan Lee was the writer of Ultimate Spider-Man and it's just them reprinting Amazing Fantasy 15? This was pretty funny. That story gets interrupted by Joe Quesada, editor-in-chief at the time, tearing up the book and chatting with Bendis about his terrible ideas for this issue. So that phone cord motif, that's a McFarlane-ism. You know, you break up the panels when people are talking on the phone with an actual phone cord. And Brian was very specific. Brian, when he saw this drawing, was like, hey, watch that little line on my chin. Watch that. He's like, my chin's not, it's not that fat. This line, it concerned him. This story, Brian K. Vaughan writing, again, under cancellation here, guys. What if Black Panther were actually white? Can't do that today. So in this story as well, if you look at Iron Man's hand, I had him holding a bottle of whiskey, and the art department in-house at Marvel edited it out of his hand. They took it out.
Oh,
look how weird that is. And then he's making a gesture, and he was drinking out of the whiskey, and now it's just him giving an invisible blowjob to someone. And then Jamie, check it out. Another page of him drinking the booze, and there's no bottle there, and he's just giving fellatio to the invisible man.
Such a weird move.
Instead of having me redraw that,
literally,
so bizarre. So anyway, oh, this is actually the best. This is the best panel. What if all the big supervillains switched superheroes to fight? Oh no, I'm sorry. What if Wolverine did appear in every single comic? So he's in Archie. This is the best panel in the book, though. Him manga style with the hand cut zipatone.
That's sick.
That's actually pretty sweet. Brian Vaughan and I again. Galactus Silver Surfer. What if drawing comics could get you women? There's me in my studio, all crazy. So at least in 2005, at least with this style, I started drawing more, learning more about construction, definitely more attention to detail. The style is starting to change a little, but then it doesn't change until I really discover the calligraphy pens. What if the Punisher was a bleeding heart? Mark Miller, again, like I don't know. That's pretty dope.
That is good.
What if the Incredible Hulk had been bitten by a radioactive spider? Web of Spider-Man, guys. Let me jump to my story real quick. This was Joe Casey and I in 2010. I like that Peter Parker drawing. So Peter gets hired to shoot a fashion show, and it takes place at the Javits Center where New York Comic Con happens. And my longtime collaborator, Justin Stewart, does colors on this story. So you can see definitely more like detail going on in this era of my work. More drawing chops, I think. I hope. It's a pretty cool panel. Chris asks, what was the most challenging and the most fun of these issues? The most fun was the Waha book, just because it was pure comedy. And Bendis and everybody was like, you can just add your own background jokes and do whatever you want. That's a pretty cool panel. I'll still stick by that image. These photographers are all photographer friends of mine. When I was living in Los Angeles, I knew so many people that were in film and video and animation. So the photographer homies show up there. Spider-Punk cover last year.
That's sick.
And then give me 1 second. Grab these guys. I have stacks of stuff in my studio right now, guys. In 2015, I was hired by Sony and my good buddy producer Mike Moon to work on the Spider-Verse movie. So I did concept drawings for them. They didn't tell me anything about the movie, Miles Morales, or anything like that. I just did some crazy Spider-Man imagery. And then eventually I got hired on to do passes on all the characters. So I got to do character design, and then they take my art and like 30 other designers, and they start Frankensteining all the different designs, all the different styles together to get the final look of the characters for the movie. So this was cool. In the very first, Spider-Verse coffee table art book, the art of the movie, I got a full page, and I got a couple other short. I got a couple other little things. They printed some of my tombstone drawings and wherever those are at, I'm not sure. Pick up this book. It's absolutely incredible. And it's basically an art school all in one.
Jim, see when you were working on that first movie, did you have a sense of like how big those movies were going to be? Because I feel like that first one kind of came out of nowhere.
Not at all. Like I thought it was a huge mistake that they were casting all these characters. They were doing this multiverse thing. I'm like, how are you going to give screen time and have a story with all these different characters? It's a very strange decision. And I moved to Portland in 2018. Brian Bendis rented out a theater and did a screening of the Spider-Verse movie. He got permission from Sony to do this before the movie came out. So I was there with Brian and his family and Mike Oming, Kevin McGuire, David Marquez, David Walker. And we all watched the movie for the first time ever, and everybody's minds were completely blown, by the movie. It was so good. I didn't work on the second movie, but in the art book for the second movie for Spider-Punk's world, we got a shout out, Ashley Wood and I. We wanted to embrace all those elements to create a world that is not always consistent in its execution, but is uniform in its emotional direction. It's a wild world influenced by artists like Jim Mahfood and Ashley Wood, bringing that excitement, that energy into the line quality, and then maintaining the sort of punkisms of that era. So they at least gave me a shout out, because Sony's using my work in these movies. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to say it, but they're, this this hand lettering with the stars and stuff, that's directly from my work. That's from my comics. So that old New York text, they're pulling from my stuff, but they're at least giving me recognition for it. They could also give me a check if they wanted to, Jamie. They could.
I was gonna ask, but I don't know what to put you on the spot, Jim.
Guys, if you know Deep Cuts, Spider-Man King Size Annual 14, Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, 1980, written by Denny O'Neil and Frank Miller, with Frank Miller on art, Tom Palmer on inks. But Jamie, I know you're new to some of the Spidey stuff, some of the Marvel stuff. So
yeah,
this when you start your checklist, this is one to add to your checklist.
I'm taking notes here, Jim. I've got that written down.
Look at that. Paying homage to Steve Ditko with the psychedelic crazy stuff. And just the ads in these books, like this was my childhood. So I was watching these cartoons on Saturday morning, the Richie Rich and Super Friends. But man, look at that. Frank Miller, 1980. Just rocking it. The Third Eye psychedelic vision. So good. Oh, yeah. So badass.
I've never seen this stuff, man. That's so
cool. Obviously 6 years later with the lightning bolts, the hero jumping over the city, that turns into like a Dark Knight Returns kind of thing. And like Spidey diving off of gargoyles, springing into action. So this kind of stuff like got me going on the idea of like Spider-Man mixed with spooky imagery, mixed with Halloween imagery or darker imagery. Like that's kind of what the Arachnid Enforcer is about. It's a spooky Halloween book, but it was also kind of influenced by this kind of thing.
What year was that, John? Sorry, did you say?
1980.
1980.
Do we just jump around? Yeah, well, speaking of dark stuff, McFarlane, I did a deep dive back into all of his stuff. I had his entire run of Amazing Spider-Man, and then in like 2005, I had a major comic book purge. I got rid of like 5 or 6 long boxes of comics, and I got rid of all my Spider-Man comics that I had collected as a kid, and all my McFarlane. I had mint copies of like issue 300 and all the shit that is valuable. But, I just rebuy this stuff because I dig enough that I can just find stuff like this for like $1. I know they're more expensive, but if you look hard, you can find it. To rise above it all is how every issue of this series started out. So rereading Torment, it's Todd McFarlane trying to be Frank Miller on the writing, not quite getting it, and but definitely murdering it on the art. Like the art just gets so crazy in these, but you start to get images of like Spidey being creepy and sort of scary. There's a cult and black magic kind of stuff going on in these books. The lizard comes back, but these are the Michael Golden kind of influenced rubbery faces on the characters. But reading the Torment stuff, it's so obvious that McFarlane is a horror fan and he wants to do horror. Like, it's just kind of funny and odd that he decided to do horror with Spider-Man. I think it's awesome. I like it, but you wouldn't associate a bright, poppy, funny, witty character like Spider-Man necessarily with horror. But this was the early 90s, so this is the extreme, edgy, brutal era of comics. And that's interesting. There's an ad for arachnophobia in here. The funny thing, dude, this is McFarlane's first issue of the series, and he writes the letter column. Look at this. This is just his. It's just his text. There's no like paragraph separations. We all know that Todd is a wordy, verbose guy, but so this is like one of the #1 selling books at the time, right? And the funny thing is, in the letters column, they're just blatantly printing letters that are hating on Todd and his writing and sort of the darkness of the series, but it doesn't really matter because they're selling, record amounts of comic books. It's okay to print some hate because the hate isn't affecting the sales. That's such a beautiful,
I was about to say
that's like a trope of McFarlane, like the head in silhouette, and you're kind of getting the narrative along the side of it. But dude, just the amount of effort of him hand drawing that panel webbing. Like, I know how long it takes to draw stuff, and there's things in his issues that are insane, like the level of time and the level of detail. He talks about how he would just talk on the phone with his friends like Rob Liefeld and stuff. And I think, you couldn't watch your computer. You couldn't watch YouTube. There was no internet. So I think those guys were just on the phone chatting with each other as they were doing this crazy level of detail in their work. Where was that one? Okay. This storytelling on this page, the close-up of the eye, the close-up of the fingers with the blood, that completely blew me away rereading this. Like, that is unbelievable. That is so fucking cool. So this is where, like, people associate McFarlane with the splash pages and the crazy big art and the poses. But for me, like, he was a designer. He was a graphic designer. And these pages, these moments are what, for me, takes it to the next level. It becomes something else, So I don't have to go through all of these, but I mean, if you guys have reread these recently, hit the chat with a comment. I want to know what you think, but the writing is what it is. The art is extraordinary. There's another really incredible storytelling moment with the panel construction. And you go into a close-up of Spidey in this panel, but then he pulls back the camera just a little bit right there. It's fantastic. It's really good. And him retelling the origin real quick. And we see the 60s Ditko Spidey, Peter Parker, I'm sorry, translated into the early 90s McFarlane, which is pretty sweet. This cover. So, shoot, do I have an example nearby? These circles on this cover, this made an impression on me as a kid. These circles are in Arachnid Enforcer. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Jamie, but if you've seen my
100%.
pages, give me one quick second, guys. I'm just going to grab this real quick.
I feel like even outside of Arachnid, it's in a lot of your art.
Yeah. Yeah. But there we go. There's those circles. It shows motion. It can show confusion. Spidey's drugged. He's poisoned on that cover. So, but for me, I'm kind of using it as movement. Like when he's flipping through the air, the circles become a directional device. And Bill Sienkiewicz would use this in his 80s work as well. Some of his covers where with Moon Knight, you just get these circles coming down and it hits his hand that's holding his blade or something like that.
West Coast Dave saying Ditco did it as well in his later stuff.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Good looking out, Dave. Yeah. That's the cool thing I like about comics and making comics is you pick up on these things. And I think there's some times where you're not even really conscious of this stuff. It just becomes almost like subliminal. Okay. So this is the issue for me. I don't know what everyone else thinks, where things start to go off the rails a little bit because the cover is beautiful, but then you open it and Todd has decided to write, pencil, ink, and color this issue. And to me, the coloring becomes like a gaudy mess. Yeah. Some of his beautiful line work, it just doesn't work. It becomes lost in all the color stuff that he's trying to do. But wait, let me go back real quick. Okay, Rick Parker lettered this. I think there's an issue that McFarlane actually letters as well. And you got to give it up though, dude. The amount of enthusiasm and passion that he was willing to put in at the drawing table. I don't think you could ever say he was phoning anything in. I mean, look at the amount of effort on MJ's hair. Credit for the attempt, says Andy. Yeah, hell yeah, credit for the attempt. Okay, anyway. But so, you get the McFarlane stuff, you get Hobgoblin, who's like abusing children. This becomes a motif in McFarlane's work with like, oh God, what's the name of the guy in Spawn? The villain in Spawn, the ice cream man. Ghost Rider makes an appearance in this though. That's pretty badass.
That's sick.
And then my last thing on the McFarlane solo Spidey title, we go to the woods of Canada with Perceptions. Perceptions, part 1 of 5. Spidey in the woods, he's not on skyscrapers and buildings. It's kind of a challenge right there. But the story shifts focus from Spider-Man and Peter Parker to this reporter woman. And it just, I don't know, rereading these was kind of a chore. They're just, to me, they weren't very interesting or engaging. But then, you get a badass drawing of Spidey.
Dave calling out Billy Kincaid was the guy from Spawn.
Billy Kincaid, thank you. Yeah. This was dope when they came out. I was buying all this stuff in real time as it was coming out. But it was cool to see McFarlane. This is 91. I'm still in high school. It was cool to see McFarlane do the black costume, and then he goes subterranean with this story about these freaks in the city. And some of these drawings, it's like, I feel like he's looking at Ted McKeever. The construction of this face and the little teeth. This is Metropole AD. This is Eddie Current, but just with the McFarlane hyper detailed added on top of it. This is a weird scene where Peter webs up Mary Jane like as a kinky thing. And he's like, I'm going to do things to you. Very strange, Jamie. I don't
know what I was expecting from these issues, but it wasn't that.
So, dude, you can find these. I'm almost positive you can find all the McFarlane stuff in various collections, of the Spider-Man stuff. That is super badass. The double page spread. But again, look at how crazy cartoony he's getting on some of these faces. He's really, really going for it. I really like that a lot. Like, really cool stuff. One of my other favorite Spidey artists, Erik Larsen, when Erik followed McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man, we all hated it. We didn't know Larsen's work, and we were like, this guy is the weakest Todd McFarlane impersonator. Like, what is this? This is not, we don't like this. But I was just young and dumb and didn't know what I was talking about. Dude, check that out. You open the book. Look at that first page.
Yeah, that's insane.
Beautiful. 1991. Erik Larsen, writer, artist. Get some MJ cleavage. You get some MJ curly hair. You get the big old, these are just 90s comics, man. I got to critique the colorist on that they misinterpreted this bottom lip as teeth or something, or a jawbone. That should be blue, guys. Jamie, I tell you what, I'm going to use my connections in comics. I'm going to track this colorist down and write them a letter.
Call how that we're starting.
It's Gregory Wright, the famous, legendary Gregory Wright. I'm going to get a hold of him. I'm going to have my people reach out to his people. Dude, look at the female villains. It's like she's just rocking a thong, dude.
That's amazing.
It's great. It's so awesome. Like, what should her costume be? It's a thong. That sounds good. That's fine. Larsen crushing it.
Dave saying that all the originals from that issue burned in Eric's house. That's a shame, man.
Oh, that's right. You were talking about that in Pittsburgh. That's one of the entire issues that got lost. That's tragic, man. McFarlane's last issue, issue 16, the horizontal landscape issue, which contains the famous, McFarlane freaked out over Marvel censoring his art. Shatterstar, his blade towards Juggernaut's eye. The next panel after this was the blade actually going into the eye. And Marvel was like, yeah, dude, you can't show that. These are some of my favorites. Yeah, okay, is that 18? Yeah. Were you going to say something, Jamie?
No, I was going to point out a comment from Chris. He said that was the issue that Juggernaut knocks down the Twin Towers.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, and yeah, that's right, Chris. The female, she is Rapture from Savage Dragon. Yeah, the female character in the Spidey book. You're right about that. That's one of the reasons I always like the way you draw women. Sweet street justice. Thank you. I learned from these guys. This series, the 6-part Revenge of the Sinister Six, written and drawn by Erik Larsen. This is some of my favorite 90s comics. This is just full-blown balls to the wall, extreme cybernetic characters, cybernetic arms, Spidey battling for his life, Ghost Rider smashing through walls. How does Ghost Rider's bike fly through the air, Jamie? It doesn't matter. We don't know. People are getting the shit beat out of them. Spidey is fully going for it. Look at that silhouette panel. That is beautiful. That's great. He did do a legit Ghost Rider. Erik Larsen, McFarlane too. I mean, both of them. But this is like Erik Larsen's strength. Like, this is like a super patriot type character, but just doing these crazy ass shoulder padded cyborg murderous weirdo freak characters. These comics are great though. So Doc Ock reassembles the Sinister Six, and I vividly remember Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg talking about this series and this issue on Cartoonist Kayfabe, because they point out the zipatone on MJ's leggings. And it is funny because I think Ed said something like, if you're an artist and you just accumulate all this weird random zipatone, like stuff that has a strange pattern on it, you don't really know, like, when am I ever going to use that? This is one of those patterns. Like, when are you going to use this weird wallpaper? It's like, oh, it works perfect for leggings on an aerobic type outfit. So good job, Erik, on digging to the bottom of your zipatone drawer. I have that same drawer in my studio, and just pulling out the random shit for us to enjoy. Look at that cover. Damn, man. That's how you open a comic book. Full page splash on your character. Slugfest. Great close-ups. Larsen really, I mean, Larsen is a traditionalist with comics. Like, he knows all the A, B's, and C's of making comics. So if you look at his books, especially like this era, he's a real master of just moving that camera around and giving you on every page, like close-up, full body shots, pull the camera back, establishing shots, let people know the environment, give them the ground level, let people know what characters are flying through the air, what characters are stationary on the ground, what's happening, where the Hulk is. Hulk is now busting in through walls. I love it, man. And then it just keeps, like, with each issue, it keeps getting crazier, where it's like now Spider-Man has some sort of like cannon contraption on, and he has like web shooter bazookas that he's using. Like, it's the most glorious 90s stuff. So this kind of stuff with the wrist bracelets, and also the 70s live action stuff that Chris and I looked at on Trash Movie Bonanza, and the Japanese Spider-Man. That was the inspiration with Arachnid Enforcer. I have the metal gauntlets on his wrist on the outside, and the metal belt going around his waist, just because I think it looks cool. But yeah, dude, it's like, was that an action figure that they made? Spider-Man with... Oh, here's more zipatone that he got to use on MJ's crazy skin top. This is such a 90s panel. The hot girl with big boobs and the ripped hero. Something sexual about that, Jamie. He's exploding.
You can just feel the energy through the page.
The webbing is it's
symbolic.
It's thrusting outside of this phallic device that he has.
We had a good question there from Kova. He said he's a little bit behind on the stream, but I'm assuming he's at the bit we were talking about Todd getting hate mail. He's asking, did you receive any hate mail for your Spidey work or any of your mainstream work?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was revealed to me much later by Axel Alonso that during this era, early 2000s, Marvel letting us weirdo indie guys come in, editorial in the Marvel offices loved all this stuff because it was something different for them to see. The average Wednesday warrior who was a John Buscema fan or whatever, which John Buscema is great, they hated this shit, you know, and they wrote into Marvel and, you know, this era of the indie stuff at Marvel did not last very long. So I feel like I was in the right place at the right time of my career that I got to do a lot of that. And it was mostly thanks to Brian because Brian was a superstar and he was making them money. So
I feel like that's a badge of honor to get hate mail for your stuff.
Yeah. It didn't affect me because I always kept getting work, you know. This is as extreme as it gets, guys, with the 90s and superhero stuff where Spider-Man now has a cybernetic eye, a cybernetic muscle robotic arm, metal shoulder pads. He's beaten, he's stitched up. That stitching and sort of like the stitching on the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman outfit, Batman Returns, that gave me the idea to put stitching into Arachnid Enforcer's outfit. Like he's got some stitching on his legs and stuff. It just looks cool.
You did some of that in Savage Street Vigilante as well, didn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's just a cool motif, you know, to have your character.
It's a cool look.
Stitched up. But, you know, these comics gave 13-year-old boys, 14-year-old boys everything they wanted. Guns, heroics, violence, TNA. You get MJ in like lingerie in basically every issue. You get Spidey freaking out with a cyborg arm. You get lots of exposition on this page.
Jesus.
But Erik Larsen is dope, man. I love this stuff. Look at that. That's so great. It's just fun comics. Oh shit. This will be the last thing I show of it is the concluding issue, man. You got to show.
That's sick.
The triptych. Ridiculous effort, man. Ridiculous. And the Spider-Man, there was a Spidey gallery show traveling around the country right before I moved here. It was in Kansas City at Union Station, and they had this original art as part of the original art display. And I believe, maybe West Coast Dave knows, I believe is this from Albert Moy's collection, man? Does he own the original, or does Dinesh own the original? But either way, seeing this in person, pretty mind-blowing. Let me get into some more weird, beautiful stuff.
See, just looking at all this stuff, Jim, do you think Spider-Man's the one character you've collected the most in your buying? Yeah.
Spider-Man and Batman.
Mm.
Yeah, I think I have about as equal of both characters. They were my first two favorite as a kid and just kind of always remained so. So yeah, I think with comics and cartoons and characters like that, it's sort of like what you're exposed to when you're young usually sticks with you.
Yeah.
I think that's the case for a lot of people with Ninja Turtles. Like a lot of people when Ninja Turtles blew up, they discovered the cartoon, the toys, the first live action movie, and they stuck with Ninja Turtles. I stuck with Ninja Turtles as well. I discovered the Mirage comics, but my two younger brothers were actually more like obsessed with Turtles as a phenomenon than I was. Guys, look at this. Bernie Wrightson artwork. Absolutely mind-blowing, incredible.
Yeah.
West Coast Dave sent this to me. I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago, when I was gathering reference for Arachnid Enforcer, and I realized that I lost this book. So Dave got me another copy of it. This is when Marvel was doing their graphic novel line of books, and this is like for $6 back in the day. You could get a gorgeous Bernie Wrightson illustrated Marvel graphic novel from 1986. But this was kind of like another source of what if Spider-Man is introduced into a world of like supernatural, weird, bizarre stuff. Because you wouldn't associate Bernie Wrightson really with drawing like spandex clad superhero character. But they quickly transport Spidey. Look how beautiful that is. They quickly transport Spidey to this other dimension where Bernie gets to cut loose and actually paint, and you're introduced to super weird characters. And if you look closely, like to nitpick, it's like his Spider-Man kind of gets wonky sometimes, like the eyes are too close together here, but it doesn't matter. But you see what his strengths are. You know what I mean? But yeah, this book, when it came out in 86, this was mind-bending for people to check out. Look at these creatures. Really, really awesome stuff, man.
That's beautiful.
That back cover is just crazy. But yeah, I mean, this gets into straight horror. Like if you're just used to Spider-Man on TV or as a cartoon, holy shit, look at that. Ginger Bear, this is the Amazing Spider-Man original graphic novel Hooky from 1986. You just mentioned you're just getting here. Look at this is like John Carpenter-esque Rob Bottin from the movie The Thing, like body horror kind of stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, man, just super. Oh my God, Spidey versus a dragon.
That is insane.
This ain't your dad's average Spider-Man comic, guys. The DeLuca effect, they call that, where you have one static image, but the character is in motion. That's the magic of comic books right there. Oh, this is the image they used for the ads inside other Marvel comics for the book. And when we saw those ads, we were just like, what the hell? Dude, look at that.
That's nuts.
The stream is just going to be me looking at the entire
just every page.
Page by page. I haven't seen this in a minute, and it is shocking like how badass
Look
the
at
imagery.
That page on the right, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. There's arms coming out of the palms of his hands. Spider-Man's swinging like a big ass. Oh, it's an anchor. Wow. incredible stuff. While we're on incredible, there's some we're going deep with this stuff, guys. There's some deep people in this stream that I know will know this book right off the bat. Jamie, another one to add to your checklist, Marvel Fanfare issue 47, featuring one of the most badass Spider-Man stories of all time, the Hulk versus Spider-Man. They destroy half of New York City in this story, penciled, inked, and colored by the one and only Michael Golden. Absolutely next level comics here, guys. But why look at that color version? Let me make sure I don't destroy my microphone.
Oh,
when we
shit.
can look at, let's look at the artist's edition version of this story. Guys, add this to your Christmas list if you don't have it. Michael Golden's Marvel Stories artist edition. This is an unbelievable masterclass in art, penciling, inking, comic books. I'm sure everybody here knows, but if you don't know, watching after the fact, if you're a casual comic book fan, Michael Golden inspired Art Adams and Michael Golden together inspired Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, that whole school of guys. So it's like, to me, Michael Golden is almost like the grandfather of Image Comics in a way.
Chris is asking if Golden was an influence for you.
Yes, in that his ability to just get cartoony and fully go for it. I've really gotten back into his work recently just because the covers that I'm trying to do right now are more detailed, more thought out, more composed. And he's one of the masters of cover composition. Like, I'll grab something real quick. Give me 1 second. I just finished inking this yesterday, but I don't think they would mind me showing this. But I'm going to be doing covers for Vault Comics. I did the Big Rig stuff, Post Malone. I'm going to be doing covers for their next Barbaric series. And so this is the first one I just finished. But the Michael Goldenness is like the over-the-top rendering of the hair and just the ability to, I don't know how else to describe it other than say just fully go for it, where you're putting in that extra effort of composition, badassery, rendering, anatomy, and knock the viewer on their ass salesmanship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you killed that, man. That is gorgeous.
Thanks, buddy. That's been passed on to Mike Spicer so that he can add his incredible colors to that. So
just quickly, Jim, before you move on, Ginger Bear's asking, the white ink spatter, did you mask off the final art and do that, or did you do it before the final inks?
Yeah, I mask things off with tracing paper. So I'll use a little behind the scenes. When I cut my Bristol board, I always have this excess scrap Bristol, and I'll take blue painter's tape and I'll roll it. And I have around my studio countless strips of Bristol with these guys ready to go, because I'll put them down on the art. Boom, boom, boom. Do I have any tracing paper handy? They hold the tracing paper in place. And then I just cut out with a X-Acto knife the areas I want to hit with the white or the black. So on the axe face here, I actually protected most of the stuff around him because I just wanted to hit these areas with the black spatter. So yeah, it's like a layering process on stuff like that, but it's fun. I mean, you have to have the patience to do that kind of stuff, but for me, it's like, I'm really going for, I want these finished covers now. I want the finished product and the original art to make an impression on people. Bill Mantlo writing this, Michael Golden, everything else, which means he penciled, inked, and colored this. I think I mentioned that already, but yeah, man, you got to see the black and white art of this. Look at the Hulk. Crazy technology and light and shadow.
Yeah, that's,
I mean,
insane.
The crazy thing to me is like, I don't think he had an assistant. I don't think he had anyone helping him with this. That wasn't really the way American comics were done. That's manga and maybe European comics. I don't know if anyone watching knows anything about the behind the scenes of this, but the fact that one guy is making all of this work is astounding. Just the effort here to cut the zipatone into the shape of the Spidey signal that he's projecting from his belt here. Yeah, crawling the building, the zipatone. I mean, he's a master of craft. And then look at this crazy shit. Spidey versus the Hulk. Look at that back shot of the Hulk. Just unbelievable, man. Laying in the zipatone. Wow. The drawing on like the goggles and stuff here. Man, Spidey's reaction here. It's just so good. It's like astounding how good it is. Oh man. Yeah. Treat yourself to this artist edition if you don't have it. And you know, this gets these poses, it's like you can see where McFarlane, I think, was looking at this stuff, definitely looking at this stuff, but then tweaking it and making it even more exaggerated. You know, like we all know that Michael Golden also invented the spaghetti webbing. McFarlane saw that on a cover that Golden did or a short story somewhere, and he kind of just took that and added it to his arsenal of what he brought to Spidey. Look at this crazy shit, you guys. Damn. Look at that face, man. The lighting, the understanding of construction and anatomy, just really, really beautiful. So anyway, I mean, we could, that city shot showing the destruction. It's like the path of destruction. That with the helicopter. I mean, that is unbelievable. God damn, they don't make comics like this anymore. I mean, they kind of do, but it's just a different level. You know, it's a different.
Chris was asking what comic that Spidey Hulk is from.
Marvel Fanfare issue 47, buddy. This is the full color version of the story, but you can find this. I've found this in dollar bins. I've rescued this from bins and just given it to people as gifts. It's a winner. These are my oldest Spidey books. I've got 19. you're supposed to handle old books with care, but I'm never going to sell these. So it's funny. My buddy Ali Murad, Ali, if you're watching this, don't be mad at me. I owe you huge, but he actually had these 3 issues CGC graded for me. And I never had CGC slabbed comics before. And I had these on my shelf in my studio for a year on display. And then the fact that they were encased in a plastic coffin made me so sad that I just fucking broke them out of the CGC cases. I was like, I don't care about the condition. I want to be able to touch these and look at them. It's too important for me as an artist. I'm not a collector. I'm an artist and I'm a comic book fanatic. So it's more important for me to be able to just hold the books and look at the incredible Steve Ditko artwork, and this is history. This is a piece of history. This is 12-cent Marvel Comics, man, from back in the day. So, free yourself, collectors. Free those CGC imprisoned comic books.
This is what crack them open right now. You've inspired me, Jim.
Crack them open, bro. Actually, Jamie, save that for if you are serious about that, save that for a live stream at some point, and we'll just do it.
Let's do it. We'll do it
on the show. This is one of the things that made Stan Lee so smart. Was like, I think other comics had letters columns, right? DC did before Marvel, but Stan's were just so much more engaging, and he made the fans feel like they were part of the experience. He made Marvel fans feel like they were part of a secret society or a private club, and people would write in and their letters would get printed and they would print their addresses, and then other people, fans in the letters columns, would write each other. That's how people would meet back in the day. So anyway, this as a kid tripped me out. Like Spider-Man goes mad. And like, I was like, Spider-Man lost his mind? What happened? And I've got, these are some great, really fun old ones too. 22, 30, 36 with, what is this guy's name? Oh shit, it's escaping me. Someone in the chat will know. I'm not going to take these out because these books are literally falling apart. So I just have them. We'll just jump around, guys. I have like so many piles of things, but it's just a fun time hanging out, talking comics with you guys. This is like basically the whole run of the Erik Larsen Amazing Spideys. West Coast Avengers was very helpful in helping me complete this run. Dude, with the Punisher, like this is, again, just 90s comics at their best. So, got some Venom. The ferocity. So this is Mike Macklin is inking Erik Larsen. This is 1990. So eventually everyone realizes that they just need to ink their own stuff if they want to get the best looking work. I think McFarlane was one of the first champions of that. Like he was to Liefeld, Larsen, everybody. He's just like, you got to ink your own work. You have to have final say over everything, Look at that cover. That's a famous image. That's crazy shit right there. I think Larsen was the first one to give Venom the green slime slobber. Is that right? Let us know, people in the chat, comic experts in the chat. Dude, look at that.
Chris is saying that he was.
Okay, yeah, I remember someone pointing that out. Issue 350, man. Dr. Doom, you open this book up. Look at that first page. Beautiful. Randy Emberlin was actually a really good inker for Erik Larsen. And I think Randy also inked Mark Bagley's run for the most part. But yeah, man, you get Doom in the issue. Pretty sweet.
Dave says check out the pin-up in the back of that.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. There's oh yeah. Okay, so we have Larsen and McFarlane splitting art duties literally. That's super dope. Larsen inked by Sal Buscema, whatever way you prefer saying it. Killer pinup. Erik Larsen inked by Al Williamson. That's beautiful. That's badass. Al Williamson, one of the greatest of all time, inking John Ramita Jr. on Daredevil and the legendary Daredevil. Oh shit! What was the Frank Miller? Was it Man Without Fear? Joe Sinnott inking Erik Larsen. A snazzy pinup with John Ramita inking Erik Larsen with Spidey and MJ. Yeah, someone pointed out or shouted out Darwin Cook. This is one I see all the time in dollar bins. Grab this if you see it. Darwin Cook and Jay Bone together producing a just absolutely beautiful Spider-Man holiday special. Matt Hollingsworth on colors. So it doesn't get much better than this, guys. 2003. 22 years ago. It's hard to believe. Just absolutely badass cartooning, man. Look how fun this stuff is. With Reed Richards and FF. Just perfect storytelling, too. Perfect pacing. Comedic timing. Man, look at that. That's awesome. Buy this and put it in your friend's stocking at Christmas time. Jamie, another checklist item for you. Spider-Man Blue. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. Cannot go wrong with this, buddy. This is focusing on the John Romita Sr. era of Amazing Spider-Man when Peter Parker was dating Gwen Stacy and things were just beautiful and psychedelic and girls wore checkered mini skirts and go-go boots. And you just have this absolutely beautiful Tim Sale artwork. Rest in peace, Tim Sale. Look at this stuff. This is awesome.
That goblin is amazing.
Yeah. Guys, if you go to the Ink Pulp YouTube channel and dig through the archives, there's episodes we did during 2020 when everyone was stuck at home of me and Sean and who else? Klaus Janson inking alongside Tim Sale. And us talking to him and just vibing out. Great dude. He's definitely missed. Look at that. That is a John Romita Sr. homage. That is beautiful. So for me personally, you know, I'm a Ditco guy, obviously, and I do prefer the weirder, lankier, creepier Ditco Spider-Man to the muscular, superhero looking Spidey. But at the same time, it's like you can't deny what Ramita brought to the character. It's ironic because the character to me is a Ditko character. It's so Ditko-esque, but Ramita and his run on Amazing Spider-Man was the one that brought it to way bigger sales and way more mainstream attention. And Ramita's artwork became the house style of Spider-Man. It was the artwork that was used on merchandise and lunchboxes and t-shirts and stuff during that era. Look how beautiful that Gwen Stacy drawing is. So simple, man. It's just her face. Doesn't even need to put any line work into the hair. Just that beautiful shape of yellow. If you notice, her hair is the only yellow on the page as far as color goes. So, you know, I'm doing the same thing in Arachnid Enforcer with Melody Jade. Her hair on most pages is colored yellow, orange. It's the only orange on the page. Peter and Gwen on his badass college motorcycle. Look at that cover. So yeah, this is oh man, that's so great. Every page I'm just gonna be like, oh God, look at that. That's so great. That's so amazing. That's a beautiful
man.
Yeah. Spidey at the newsstand, and you can just tell the smoke, the New York City subway. It's like 3 a.m. or something, you know, like Spidey and this newsstand sales guy are like the only ones awake at this time in New York. Yeah, I've had this for a while, but I recently revisited and reread this series, and it's really great. And it's just, it's so pure and beautiful how Tim was able to channel the Ramita stuff, but then make it his own as well. Peter's first time meeting Mary Jane, you just see her eyes and then her full lush lips with the face it tiger. You just hit the jackpot, you know, famous legendary moment in comics. Look at that cover, man, with her silk, like just the pure white. Yeah, this is, and we could just look at this whole book. Yeah, this is beautiful stuff. So anyway, oh wait, I do want to see. You got to look at sketchbook material if they show off sketchbook material. Man, it looks so simple, but it's so effective. Look at that crazy ass goblin image.
I was gonna say that's so good.
That's getting into like Sienkiewicz, Dave McKean territory, and almost like Ralph Steadman exaggeration. Man, so I love that too, where it's just the red and the black, where you don't even show any highlights in Spidey. You just get the flat black coloring. Oh yeah, and they show him like what he's homaging, you know, the famous moments from Ramita. So anyway, really, really great stuff. New York stories.
Dave was asking, did you pull Spirits of the Earth for this?
Which one was it?
Spirits of the Earth.
Oh, is that Brendan McCarthy? The super psychedelic Doctor Strange? Because I have that and I just realized I didn't pull it out. Charles Vess. You know what? I would need to search for that. I'm not sure if I have that. That's one I need to add to my checklist.
He says it's Spidey in Scotland. I might need to grab this.
Oh, you got to put that on your list, Jamie.
I need that.
Who drew? Hold on real quick. Oh, the reason I pulled this is what do I have in here? I think they hold on real quick. Sorry guys. Oh, they reprinted my Web of Spider-Man story. Okay, I already showed that. Okay, so that's Spidey New York Stories. This issue of the Kirby Collector came out last summer, and this whole issue is sort of like goes over some cool stuff of Jack Kirby's relationship to Spider-Man, because everyone's always trying to figure out like who created what, who did what, and the story sort of goes that Jack and Stan were talking about this Spider-Man style character, and Jack came up with this is some Tom Scioli remix stuff going on right here that is purely magical. I'll go back to that. But anyway, Jack winds up designing a Spider-Man outfit that has like the Captain America Buccaneer boots and a spider web shooter gun. And it just winds up being that he was part of the process. Here's Kirby's Spider-Man, that design right there. And then you get obviously the Ditco design, which is, I think, the best designed superhero costume in the history of comics. But Jack was sort of like, the point of the story is Jack was sort of part of the process, but Stan gave it over to Ditko, and Ditko obviously just fit the character like a glove. Like it, like I said, it's Ditko's world, baby. So I already showed this one with the Molten Man, but this was my intro to collecting Spider-Man comics, and amazing if I could get it on the shelf at the grocery store before I discovered comic shops. This is 85, but I was buying these reprints, and it was kind of cool because it's the beginning story of Spider-Man. It's his early years, but as a kid, I didn't know, because it's marked 1982. I didn't know that these were made in the 60s. But the cool thing about these reprints, you're getting the original Ditko Spidey comics on newsprint, which I think is still the best look for this stuff. Where is it? Now, Jamie, another one, if you want to just get into the classic stuff, this is actually pretty dope. This is the Amazing Spider-Man, the Epic Collection. Great Power is volume 1 of everything. So this is the very beginning of Spider-Man. You start with Amazing Fantasy 15 and you go into Amazing Spider-Man 1. And then it's just all the Amazing Spider-Man issues reprinted in order. And so for $35, there's several volumes of this. You're getting all the OG Amazing Spider-Man Ditko stuff in one book.
That's cool.
So, dude, I recommend reading these. They're super fun comics, and it's the whole origin and his rogues gallery, all the super weird villains. Dr. Doom's in it, all the bullshit with Flash Thompson, Peter Parker's 60s angst that he's always dealing with. And you get them in one volume, and they're reproduced well. I mean, it would be better if it was newsprint, but I'm not terribly hating on like this kind of paper. These are for reading, but if you can get your hands on the Marvel Tales individual issues, man, look at that. Seeing this stuff on the newsprint.
Yeah, the newsprint adds to it so much.
It adds so much character, man. And even if some of it, obviously is not fully on registration with the printing, these comics just look so damn cool in this format. Beautiful stuff, man. Guys, if you want to know more, I'm just kind of going to jump all over the place here. If you want to know more about my man, Steve Ditco, the genius, the auteur, the psychedelic explorer, this book, Ditco Unleashed from IDW, this is like a really, really amazing retrospective of basically his whole career. So, and I just open it up randomly. I get to a page of Spider-Man art here, original art with some notations at the top. But this, I mean, this goes through Spidey, but this goes through Steve's repertoire of incredible work that he produced. Him and Kirby, man, I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing, like the amount that they produced and the size of the imagination is kind of what trips me out as a creator. Like when I see the amount of characters they designed, the amount of covers they illustrated, just the sheer imagination that was sort of expected of cartoonists back in the day. It's kind of overwhelming. What was that? Look at that. Out of this world. Let me know your favorite Ditko stuff in the chat. I'll be honest with like the later stuff, Mr. A and his Ayn Rand, like political stuff. Some of that starts to lose me a bit. Some of the ROM Space Knight stuff is cool. But he had such a extensive career that, you know, there's something for everybody. Shade the Changing Man. This is completely bugged out psychedelic comics that he produced for DC. Yeah, I need to actually get these individual issues. That's something worth digging for. The all the Shade stuff. Look at that. Beyond the Grave.
That's sick.
So anyway, Ditko Unleashed. I'll just go through these covers so they're so damn cool. This always bugged me out as a kid and still does. The Vulture is an elderly man. Jamie, like what is this 85-year-old man doing flying around in like a mechanical bird outfit? Like what?
The outfit says it.
If Spider-Man just shoved this guy, he would fall over and like break his hip and die. Man, that's awesome. The other fun and charming thing about the early Spider-Man, I'm sure all you guys know this, is everyone he fought was basically just a criminal in New York City who was trying to like rob banks or, you know, just get money somehow. Like none of it was really like cosmic related, like evil supervillains that are trying to take over the world. It was basically like Peter Parker's busting jewel thieves. This was a huge scam of the 1980s. The Spider-Man Atari 2600 video game, which I convinced my parents to buy me for Christmas one year. And it's like the lamest video game of all time. You're a pixelated Spider-Man and you're just swinging on webs.
Was that a sad Christmas for a young Jim?
Well, I was excited to get it as a present because like the cover of the arcade game, it looks cool. The packaging looks cool. You pop it on, and then after playing it for a couple of days, it just, I knew even as a kid, like this game sucks. There's nothing. What was the point of the game, you guys? I don't remember. Like, I don't know.
To make money, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. ChemDog had this game. How cool would it be if they cast Iggy Pop as the Vulture? That would be, I mean, Tom, I appreciate your casting decision recommendation there. This freaked me out as a kid. Spider-Man unmasked in front of everyone. This is completely epic. This is a reprint of the very first Spider-Man annual. And I believe the first appearance of the Sinister Six, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but this is Spider-Man just taking on all of his villains at once. And Ditco is just drawing the shit out of this comic book. It's so cool. Look at all these characters. Look at everything going on in this, man. Aunt May also just old as dirt.
Dave and ChemDog said you were right there.
Okay, cool. Electro. Look at that pin up. Got that shot.
That's so good.
And then you got the shot of him. Like, I almost feel like Ditko probably isn't using reference for these cheetahs. I mean, maybe he is, but this is just, these animals are transferred into Ditko cartoony language. You know, it's like he doesn't have time to look for the reference. And there's my favorite bad guy, Mysterio. Look at that. Speaking of Mysterio, this cover as a kid, I just fell in love with it. It freaked me out at how fucking weird it was, where it's like, okay, I know Spider-Man. His eye is very, very small. The super thick black outline. The webbing is melting. I had never seen Mysterio before. I'm like, there's this mystic fishbowl-headed bad guy. And then also at the very bottom of this, ever see a comic mag superhero take his troubles to a psychiatrist? You will now. And as a kid, I'm like, what does that mean? Jamie, what is this all about? I always loved these panels where they gave like
the half and half. It's so
the
good.
half, yeah, to show the inner conflict of Peter as Spider-Man. But Mysterio shows up and he, you know, as a reader, we don't know how he's getting away with stopping Spider-Man's web streams in midair, and he basically beats Spider-Man the first time they fight. So cool, man. Human Torch cameo. Sandman. We got the end of Spider-Man, you guys. The story you never expected to read. Spidey Strikes Back. That's a reprint of the issue 19 I have. This was super badass to see for the first time. The Scorpion. What a crazy villain. Super badass cover, man, with him cutting the plane of above water, underwater. Like that as a kid, that I remember that blowing my mind. Like, wait, what? How are they doing that? And then this is just colored, you know, slightly darker
Yeah, the
under the
color
water.
shift I was going to say is cool.
Awesome stuff, man. Man on a Rampage. And of course, one of the most legendary Spider-Man comics of all time. What do they call this? The machinery issue? The issue where the final chapter, I guess, is what it is, where Spidey is trapped under the machinery and he uses sheer force of will, all of his power, all of his determination to get out of the bind that he's in. And it's a very powerful and effective storytelling process. I guess there's stories, because by this time in the Amazing Spider-Man run, Ditko and Stan Lee were not talking anymore. So Ditko was basically writing the book. You know, he was plotting it and laying out all the pencils and then turning in the pencils at Marvel without really talking to Stan Lee. And then Stan Lee was scripting and they'd be lettered, and then Ditko would get the pages back and ink them. But this was kind of unheard of at the time, of like using this much real estate, like 4 or 5 pages to show just a character trapped under a machine. Like that's something that would just happen. This whole sequence would just happen in 1 page normally. But I think since Ditko was sort of doing what he wanted, he was like, well, screw it. I'm just going to take 6 pages, 7 pages to show this unbelievable moment of Spider-Man. So, man, I love it. Oh, the Looter. That's what this character's name is. And then we're getting towards the end of Ditko on Spider-Man. This is a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man 37. That cover is amazing. No pun intended. Look at how fucking weird that is. With the blobby creature thing. What is this thing, Jamie? What is that? Trapped on Spider-Man, like stuck on Spidey's back? Early Gwen Stacy appearances. And then this is it, right? This is the conclusion of Ditko on Spider-Man. Oh, that's funny. Like this, they switched to the other paper with this. This is more of a slightly brighter. Yeah, the reproduction on this actually isn't as good as just the pure newsprint issues. Getting to some Ramita Jr., more reprint stuff. Beautiful Mike Zeck cover. The best 80s Punisher artist, right? Ross Andrew on interior art. Here's some of those early 2000s weirdo stories I was telling you about. This is gorgeous Duncan Fegredo artwork. Peter Milligan scripting, Duncan. That's a full-blown practical painting illustration for the cover.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Really
unbelievable. Duncan on interior art. I get, it sort of works, but my only critique of Steve, no disrespect to Steve Buccellato, this era of coloring, the digital coloring, some of it gets a little over rendered, gets a little out of control at times. This actually, it doesn't look that bad. This was a transition era though for comics of like lettering's now going digital. It's not done directly on the boards anymore. Coloring's fully digital. You got to do it just for speed reasons. These are monthly comics. But yeah, the era of Spider-Man comics where Spider-Man really isn't in the books. But dude, look at that painted cover. Beautiful. Man, so damn cool. That's really great. Him going through the maze.
Mm-hmm. That was sick.
And we're getting some Spidey action in this one. I was a teenage frogman. This is Zeb Wells and Duncan Fegredo. Another really beautiful painted illustration. The fact that Duncan went to the effort to that's a hand-painted version of a comic book cover, Amphibian Fantasy.
That's nuts.
Really, really crazy. I think that's Duncan actually right there, using himself as a reference. But yeah, man, the comedy era of superhero comics and using loser characters. Oh yeah, there's my homeboy Kari Andrews, Spider-Man Reign. This was kind of sort of an attempt at a darker kind of Dark Knight Returns-esque Spider-Man story, and futuristic wild tale, and sort of illustrated, in my opinion. Kari is doing a Frank Miller Elektra Lives Again kind of style on this, if you guys get what I'm talking about. Like the kind of deadline, just one thin dead line around anything, with the more rendered, almost painted style coloring. It's cool stuff though. This one is definitely worth buying and checking out. He just did a sequel to this last year, and I was buying the individual issues of it, and it's good. Miles Morales, future version of Miles, is in it. Remember Marvel Age magazine? When I started going to the comic shop, I discovered comic shops, I would pick this up because it was a sort of a supplement. You'd buy your brand new monthly comics, but then if the new issue of Marvel Age was out, you'd pick this up because it was like basically a guide of everything that Marvel's putting out that month, and they would have interviews with artists. This was the internet before the internet, but this Ramita Jr. cover, I think, is really, really beautiful. And this is such an odd, fun thing. At the bottom of the cover, he has himself drawn, like holding a mechanical pencil, and then I'm assuming his wife, and then his dad, John Ramita Sr., and his mother, John Jr.'s mother. So kind of a fun, like, family portrait looking up at the characters.
That's sick.
That Erik Larsen badassery. Kid and Play, you guys. Kid and Play had a comic book. Very important.
Quick shout out for Scotty Young in the chat.
Scotty Young, what up, brother? If you don't talk about one of my Spider-Man books, you're picking up the check at our next lunch. So, damn, that's another thing I forgot to pull. Spider-Man, Scotty's Spider-Man Ninja Clan comic book from the early 2000s. Can you give us the year on that, Scotty? Was that 2003? Did that come out? Spider Clan. I'm sorry, not Ninja Clan, but Spider Clan. Scotty drew that book. Super dope. Kari Randolph was also involved. And I did a pinup in, I believe, the first issue, guys.
2002, he says.
2002. Thanks, man. Thank you for joining us, Scotty. So this has a incredible John Ramita Jr. interview in it, and they're hyping up before it comes out. I love this image so much, man. That's inked by Klaus Janson. That's fucking gorgeous. Badass. That's from Punisher Warzone. Yes, so Ramita Jr. illustrated a one-shot comic. You guys probably remember this, called Hearts of Darkness. And it was Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and Punisher taking on this weird, was it like a cult? Almost like a demonic cult in some small town. Klaus Janson inking. But the art on this book, I should have pulled the book. I have it. The art on this is wicked. It's just wicked awesome, guys, as my friends in Boston would say. It's fucking wicked, man. Look at that.
Yeah, that's
Look,
insane.
look at these comics, Jamie. They're fucking. We're gonna go to the bar. We're gonna talk about. That's the only way I can imitate Boston is just instead of
You
saying
started English there, Jim?
instead of saying well, Boston people say instead of saying let's go to the bar, they do say let's go to the bar. The bar.
I've never heard an authentic Boston accent. In films and stuff I have, but never in conversation.
You will when we do our signing tour and we go there.
True.
You're gonna experience it, man. Another Kari Andrews badass Spidey graphic novel, Dr. Octopus Year One, the origin story of Doc Ock. And did Kari write this? Zeb wrote it. Zeb Wells, Kari on art, Jose Villarrubia, incredible colorist, laying down the colors on this thing. Look at that. It's awesome. Yeah, Scotty, you signing off on this book? This book is dope, right? So good. It adds a whole new layer, several layers to the Dr. Octopus character and really makes him much more complicated than kind of previously established. Look at Kari's art on this, man. He's going for it.
Yeah, that's sick.
Love the high contrast. Yeah, really, really beautiful. Damn. I just picked this up this weekend in Pittsburgh. I didn't know about this. Jim Rugg turned me on to, there was a run in Spectacular Spider-Man where Bill Sienkiewicz was doing finishes over Sal Buscema breakdowns. So this is basically Sienkiewicz doing Spider-Man in a way. It's if you really get in there and look at the panels and examine the ink work, it gets very Sienkiewicz-y. This is also very disturbing. Dr. Octopus giving mouth to mouth to Peter Parker. I don't know about that, Jamie. I don't know what these comics are. And this is so odd. It's contrasted with this girl making out with Dr. Octopus.
Dr. Octopus was getting about in this issue, man.
He's a player. This stuff, though, when I look at it, it's no disrespect to Bill, but like he's doing like 3 pages of this a day for sure. He's, really cranking this stuff out. It looks great, but when I look at the work and the application of the ink, it's kind of I admire it a lot because it's like when you're producing monthly comics at this level, this is now you're part of a machine. Like you're like, hey man, I got to crank out a monthly Spider-Man comic. I'm doing finishes over Sal's work and I'm going to ink 3 pages of this a day. That's a really badass shot.
I was going to say that page is cool.
This is, it's Sienkiewicz because you get he's working that white ink. It's yellow in color, but this is white ink that he's digging into the black behind that. And even Sal and Bill have to do their version of Big Boob Mary Jane with the Daisy Duke shorts on. You got to have it. The spaghetti webbing. Sienkiewicz doing the spaghetti webbing. I love it. That's awesome. This is cool shit though, man. It's, it gets gritty. We found so much random shit when we were digging in Pittsburgh that, I need to continue the sketchbook series we started, Jamie, but my next solo live stream might actually be me going through the stack of dollar books I found in Pittsburgh because I got some gems, man. I got some gems. This is more really beautiful John Romita Jr. work. These are the kind of comics that, like, if I just find these in a dollar bin, 50-cent bin, I'll pick them up, man. It's Scott Hanna inking JR. Like, you know, what else do you want, people? The Juggernaut's in it. He's knocking down buildings. He's causing havoc in the city. Look at that.
That page is sick.
Badass cover.
West Coast Dave saying he'd like to join that stream. Are the books that you guys were digging?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, well, shit, Dave. I mean, how big is the stack that you brought back? Comic Scene magazine, guys. This was a hot rag. We call this a hot rag back in the day. If you could find this at Walgreens or your local magazine, your local newsstand, the internet before the internet for comics, giving you the hottest comic news, interviews with creators, and what's the Spider-Man thing about in here? Oh, Spidey approaches issue 250. So it's like a celebration. Look at young coked out Tom DeFalco. Allegedly, I'm making a joke. I do not know if Tom DeFalco was doing cocaine in the 80s. I don't think he was. That's a dumb joke. Dude, look at George Perez as the Mac. Look at that guy. Marv Wolfman. So anyway, these guys are talking about Spider-Man approaching issue 250. They forced some kid in like the bullpen at Marvel to do this cheesy collage or whatever. This was an ill storyline. Do you remember in the 70s when Spider-Man, Peter Parker got 2 sets of extra arms? It's wild shit. John Romita Sr. Much love. Anyway. These things are just super fun to go through. That's a pretty dope. Amethyst. You can find this whole series in any dollar bin digging you do anywhere in the country. So if you want to pick up a full series of that, you can easily find it. We're just going to go through stuff real quick, dude. We're not going to be too much longer, but I just want to show some covers. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Some Peter Parker. Spectacular Spider-Man. So, Amazing Spider-Man was obviously the top seller, the more mainstream title. Peter Parker became the more strange kind of experimental title where if you look at the covers and the characters, it's more odd, more arty, more bizarre. This is a perfect example. This entire issue is a riff off the popularity of Disco and Saturday Night Fever. And you have the Hypno Hustler, this black dude with an afro who hypnotizes people with music. The most important thing about this issue, you open it up, you get the ad for the Energized Spider-Man. This was a toy that came out. What year is this? 78. Guys, this came out in the late 70s. There was an older kid in my neighborhood. Blake had this as a toy. I would follow Blake around the neighborhood and like fucking beg him to play with this Spider-Man toy. It had a web, like a line that you could hook through Spider-Man's hand. And the web was like retractable. And then it also had a light, an energized throw light. And they even made an energized plastic Green Goblin at some point. But if you're my age and you're a comics fan, a Spider-Man fan, you knew about this plastic Spider-Man energized toy. Peter Parker's on the subway just chilling. There's a fight. He has to spring into action. And his friends get him to dress up like John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever style. And they literally go to like a disco in Brooklyn. And it's basically just the movie. Look at these old ads, man. They're so good. The Spidey Super Stories comic book was based off Spider-Man's live action appearances on the Electric Company, the PBS educational show. And there he is. He's got a harem of bitches. He's got his hypno goggles, Jamie. Here's the DJ on the ones and twos, yo. There is a DJ spinning the wax and they're hypnotizing the people of New York, man.
I feel like we need a sequel of Arachnid Enforcer where that guy's the villain.
Dude, Scotty, if you're still there, Scotty Young, can we pitch Marvel? Maybe just a one shot,
What's the guy's name
Hustler, the Hypno
again?
Hustler. Can we pitch them? You write, I draw, obviously. And we'll pitch them a one shot, Scotty, and then Scotty disco foil variant cover done by you.
Money. I think that's money right there.
Let's make it happen. This is really off registration here, the way this got printed. So look what I'm talking about, guys. Into the Hive? Like, what are these characters? Like, these were never... This was not in the Amazing Spider-Man. Like, Peter Parker started to get weird and obscure with these villains and these characters. Bill Mantlo wrote this one. This is cool shit.
That's a cool spread, that page.
Frank Miller cover. Everybody knows that one. That's a beautiful cover, man. That's is this 81? This is like what his Ronin style gets into. But this is what I mean. You can see it starts to get really experimental with like the logo treatments, the composition, the design of that cover. That's great, man. I really like that a lot. So yeah, that's wild. That's like a full-blown airbrushed mixed media illustration. That's cool. 1982. The Luca effect, Spidey flipping through the city. That's real nice, man. You just no need to pencil and ink the outline in white of Spidey. Just allow the black of the costume to absorb into the black, but then include the star pattern on him just to make it a little cosmic.
Cool effect.
That's nice. The dramatic return of the Black Cat. This is super dope cover. Al Milgrom. Pure design, pure skills. Again, no need to have the outline around his arm, his hands. You know, the webbing contains that shape.
Mm.
And it's great. You just have you got the metal tentacles from Doc Ock. You know, the bad guy in this issue is Dr. Octopus. Video game fever, Jamie. You got to have Spidey on it's not Pac-Man, it's Sack-Man. This one I picked up when I was a kid and I had to rebuy this, but this stuff, like that guy, like weirded me out as a kid. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And this one too, man, this was a great milestone 100th issue of Peter Parker with the Spot. And you guys know the Spot from the second Spideyverse movie. Is this the issue where Spider-Man and Black Cat break up? It is. Spidey and Black Cat break up, you guys. The love affair is dead. So I don't know. I might be reading into it, but Spidey and Black Cat, I feel like they were just friends with benefits, right? Like they couldn't say that in comics because this stuff was for kids, but they weren't like girlfriend and boyfriend, right? They're just like kinky people in superhero outfits getting it on. That's pretty cool. Nightmare kind of fuel. The Wasp. Oh shit, yeah, guys, Ace. The blatant Prince ripoff character. Do you know about this character, Jamie?
I don't.
Oh god, yeah. This was like the peak of Purple Rain popularity with Prince. And this dude, Ace, became someone they introduced in the Spider-Man comics. He was a throwaway character, but he's got the Jerry curl hair, he's got the motorbike. Mm-hmm. He's a bad boy because he's holding a can of spray paint, and he spray painted his name over a Spider-Man poster. That's a really
a cool page. Yeah.
Splash page. Yeah, this is 86. That's pretty cool. This is like mid 80s. You're getting into like the peak 80s kind of stuff. It's yeah. Another one to add to your checklist is this is collected into a trade paperback. This is the legendary Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. Mm-hmm. And I had all these. I got rid of them. I was an idiot. You can get a trade of this. This is kind of regarded as one of the best Spider-Man stories ever told. It's Kraven the Hunter hunts down Spider-Man for like a final time, shoots him. We the reader think that Spider-Man's dead. He buries Spider-Man, and then he puts on the Spider-Man suit and starts going out and like fucking up criminals. So Kraven basically wins. Peter Parker, of course, comes back at the end of the storyline, but then, well, I won't spoil it. Something crazy happens at the end of the story where all of us readers were like, "Holy shit, that's super dark!" Like, so this is
yeah,
definitely pick it up, Jamie. You'll dig it because this is like 87. This is peak 80s dark era of comics. Like this is sort of Spider-Man trying to do kind of a Dark Knight Returns thing. Mike Zeck is penciling, Bob McLeod is inking. The art is spectacular, but this bigger, thicker Spider-Man, this is Kraven dressed as Spidey, and he's like breaking necks of criminals, and he's basically doing the job that he thought Spider-Man should do by eliminating criminals. Like, why are you letting these scumbags live? And then we also have this other dark storyline going on with this Vermin, this like rat character. But him licking the face of this cop, it gets weird. It gets dark. This was a monthly comic storyline that ran across Amazing Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and Peter Parker. So kind of an early gimmick of, you got to buy these different Spider-Man titles if you want this full story. But, like Kraven's running around like naked in the story and doing like weird occult kind of shit. I don't know. And like fighting creatures in the sewer. And then this cover is legendary, man. This is part
Yeah, I know
4.
that cover. Yeah.
Well, you know that image. Like that's,
Yeah.
you know. This one I point out because I bought this is my very first McFarlane Spidey book. And I was in the grocery store with my mom. I was done collecting Spider-Man. I hadn't looked at it in a couple years, but the cover caught my eye with the anatomy and the detail and the spaghetti webbing. And I picked it up, and at first glance, I thought it was very, very strange and possibly terrible. And I put the book down, and then as my mom was checking out, I just kept thinking about it. I was like, did Marvel ruin Spider-Man? And then I wound up going back to the newsstand and picking up the book and buying it. It was just, I just couldn't stop thinking about it, like how odd this was to see before anyone was talking about McFarlane, before anybody knew what was going on, before he turned into a superstar. I sort of discovered this on my own, and then I became just a fanatical fan of what he was doing. Like I could not believe how cool this was. And this wasn't even him inking himself. Joe Rubenstein is doing finishes on this. So this isn't even fully McFarlane at his, you know, peak powers, but we're getting introduced to him doing Mary Jane, like slightly sexier. You know, he's giving her fashion that we haven't seen before. The big eyes on Spidey are obviously starting to happen. The webbing starting to happen. And so starting with this issue, I was now buying monthly Spider-Man comics again. And we're getting pages. The Magnificent Seven is inking this, bunch of different inkers. But really, we're getting to see what happens when McFarlane is starting to ink his own work. And it's just fantastic, you know. Peter Porker, Paul Pope, rocking some Spider-Man.
That's sick.
Everybody loves
I've never seen
Paul.
this. That's cool.
So, dude, this is another one of those things where it's like, it's a story about this girl who is like obsessed with Spider-Man or is like a fan of Spider-Man and is in an abusive home or whatever. And her dad tears up her Spider-Man poster. And then this is a great reveal. So no Spidey. It's this girl's story. And then Spider-Man shows up. That's a fantastic reveal of the glove with the super thick webbing. This fucks it up. This is what would fuck up monthly comics. You turn the page and there's a goddamn double page ad. But what's supposed to happen is, you know, that and then this. Where
That's so sick. That pose on Spider-Man in that first panels.
He jumps down and she's like, he went that way. And then he just flips away from her. And that's her only engagement with Spider-Man. This is some other stuff. So I wound up using this dude. I'll show some of my stuff. I managed to go through almost every pile of stuff that I dug out. Yeah, man, this 70s tarantula character like turns up in Arachnid Enforcer. I made him a bit more like a bit more disco, a bit more stylized. He's got like kind of a Jerry curl kind of look.
Did you do many like direct references like that?
Well, this is the crime master who is pulled from. Give me 1 second. Ah, shit. I can't find it right now. crime boss, crime master. He's a Ditko bad guy. This is basically supposed to be the Vulture, this character who gets killed right away, but his helmet and a lot of his outfit is inspired by the 70s movie The Phantom of the Paradise. That's a deep B movie cut that all you Trash Movie Bonanza fans will know. So he gets taken out right away, and then Arachnid's fighting the rest of the guys. This character is Doc Ock, obviously, but he has real octopus tentacles, and his face, his head, shit, the name is escaping me. He's the main bad guy in the She-Ra Masters of the Universe. Crime Master. Yes, thank you, Chemdog. What's the bad guy's name in She-Ra? Who is this? You guys know what I'm talking about. But I love the weirdness of this. And then
everyone's saying
Hordak. Yeah. Yeah, Chemdog, Phantom of the Paradise, Paul Williams stars, directed by Brian De Palma, early Brian De Palma film. And really great, bizarre, strange, creepy movie. We should cover it on Trash Movie at some point. You get this issue, and then the next issue. Look at this fucking nightmare cover. It's so great, man.
Terrifying.
Death Knell. Look at this. John Ramita Jr., early work, 1983. So cool. Love this cover. Breaking the title, breaking up the actual logo. So dynamic, man. Stilt Man. Kind of a throwaway character. What else we got? Look at some Marvel Tales covers. Love that. Big old Spidey face. Mike Zeck. Rocking out. You can never mistake a Mike Zeck Punisher, you know. He's just the ultimate badass. Jigsaw. Killer cover. I picked this up for like $0.25, and it's an official Marvel index to the Amazing Spider-Man title. Check out that double page cover though. And I'll just go through these real quick. I'm sure you guys know these. Jay Lee rocking out with his early 90s Bill Sienkiewicz, scratchy Simon Bisley style. These comics are super badass. You can see Ed and Jim cover these on Cartoonist Kayfabe. This is another series that I believe Jay Lee was basically penciling and inking 2 to 3 pages a day. That's not a diss. These comics are great for what they are. They're super energetic, well-designed, lots and lots of silhouettes, lots of black ink on the page. And lots of ink spatter. Yeah, Jay Lee's style is sharp in this era. It's so damn sharp you can just like get a paper cut. Look how awesome that is.
That Iron Fist is insane.
That's rugged. 1994. There's some dust on some of these comics, guys. There's lots of I need to clean the studio. I'm cleaning the studio this weekend. Ditco Mania from 2008. This is a fanzine I picked up. I think I was in Lexington, Kentucky at a comic book show. But this is great. This is just this is edition 130 of 200. made in Rob Imes, Cambridge. Yeah, man, fanzines are super fun, and this is someone just gave this to me because they knew I was a Ditco fan. Pretty cool. But that back cover,
That's sick.
and that front cover, you can hang that up in your studio. We'll go through these real quick. This one's worth checking out very quick. Marvel Fanfare issue 2, another Michael Golden blockbuster. Savage Land story, Spider-Man and Kazar, 1982. Chris Claremont, Michael Golden. We got dinosaurs. We got hyper detailed artwork. I mean, this is unbelievable that Michael Golden is producing at this level in 1982. No other comics look like this in 1982. It's baffling. So they discovered this Spider-Man's been mutated into this actual spider horrific character that's like wearing his costume. Goddamn, so good. Look at the amount of work on these pages. So yeah, he reverts back to Peter Parker. Sauron shows up. Look how badass that is. Yeah, man. My homeboy, Damian Scott, The Lizard's Tale, part 1, 2, and 3. Graffiti style Spider-Man comics. When we do, we're going to do a live stream at some point, my animation projects that failed. And I'm going to show some Damian Scott stuff. In 2020, I had a Girl Scouts animation deal at Disney with Margot Robbie and her husband as producers. I got Damian Scott to come on to do character turnarounds for me. It's really awesome stuff. We'll show that off.
That's going to be a fun one.
Oh yeah. J. Michael with John Ramita Jr. This run of Amazing Spider-Man, super badass. Scott Hanna on inks. This introduces the Ezekiel storyline where there's other spider-powered characters. You guys probably all know this series. J. Scott Campbell on covers. Really cool stuff. I love Chris Bichello's work. I just saw him 3 weeks ago in Tucson, Arizona. Great guy. Non-stop Spider-Man. I was buying this as it was coming out. He crushed this book, man. People weren't really talking about this when it came out. I don't know if it got the attention of people, but I thought it was great. I thought it's literally non-stop Spider-Man. It's just a full-blown action comic illustrated by Chris Bichello. Oops. Guys, we got a book. I got a book. After we've looked at all that inspiration, all that magic, with the success of Savage Street Vigilante, I wanted to do a Batman book. I was like, well, I got to do my Spider-Man book now, my wall crawler book. We got pumpkins in the background here. The little kids I introduce early on in the story are the only citizens of All Hallowsville, where this takes place, a Halloween town. The little kids are the only ones that are cheering on and are fans of Arachnid Enforcer because they just think he's cool, but the adults in town all hate him because he's just muscle for hire. He messes up bad guys, but he just does it for his own gain. You know, he just does it for his own profit, for him and Gangster Boogie. But the kids just think he's cool. I had to put all these pages in a binder because I'm bringing this stuff to conventions now, just so people can flip through the originals and see what I'm doing. But I'll take one of these out for you guys so you can see.
Yeah, I've already said it, man, but this stuff is insane.
The hyper detail of melting supervillains. So we're doing the book, October 1st launch, 48 pages. After showing the originals to everyone, especially at conventions like Eddie P Con, I mean, we do want to do an 11x17 like artist edition of Arachnid Enforcer and Savage Street Vigilante. Basically just like this, where there's not even the lettering added. Obviously, Justin Stewart's going to letter this book like he did with Savage Street Vigilante, so letters will come later. This is one of the old guys in town who's shit-talking Arachnid Enforcer. I don't know if I've revealed it, but Tiger Thompson is the identity of Arachnid Enforcer, so people know his identity. It's not really a secret, so people refer to him as Tiger throughout the book. So I took Mary Jane referring to Peter Parker as "Face it, you just hit the jackpot, Tiger," with Flash Thompson, Tiger Thompson, pretty self-explanatory. First appearance, you guys, of Gangster Boogie on this page. This page is going to be worth triple the amount of other pages from the series.
When the Gangster Boogie movie hits, that page value skyrockets.
We love them. They mess up the bad guys, which they got paid for, but they find Gangster pulls the wallet from one of the bad guys and they get like an extra bonus amount of cash. So they're going to walk back. They're walking through a cemetery and they're going to go visit Aunt Mabel, who's Gangster Boogie's sick aunt, to break her off some money, you know. But yeah, man, I'm having a blast drawing this stuff. I hope it shows.
Yeah, you can tell, man. It's so good.
Good. Arachnid's body is tweaking out here. Like his arm gets super big. And since I don't explain his origin, but he has radiation inside his body, like the actual wall crawler would have. So the radiation is an issue. It's kind of this ticking time bomb thing that Gangster Boogie is sort of worried about. You know, that becomes a plot element in the book. Very Mignola inspired spooky forest here. The boys walk through the forest. They go through a portal, and this brings them to the dimension of the illusionist, the main bad guy, who you can tell is based off my favorite Spider-Man villain.
That spread is insane, man.
Pretty fun. A lot of hours put into these pages, especially the double page spreads. A certain metal-faced villain is his apprentice. So another very valuable page, Jamie. Introduction of Melody Jade, illusionist daughter, the hot, sexy, goth witch girl.
I love that middle panel on that page. Yeah.
Well, wait till people see the promo video you made for me.
We did. We used it.
We've done something with this image that is going to get people's attention. So throughout the book too, I'm adding in just certain panels that will have my own hand lettering, just because it adds to the cartooniness of all of it. Arachnid pulls a gun on the illusionist. And illusionist is able to use his sorcery to easily take that gun away from Arachnid Enforcer. And I probably will stop there because there's like a major story reveal on the next page. Well, actually, I'll skip the reveal and then I'll go to the aftermath where Tiger and MJ get involved in an occult sex magic ritual to transport themselves to the land of Samhain, the land of the dead, where they're going to retrieve the head of the great pumpkin for the illusionist so he can gain ultimate power.
It's just insane, man.
So the great pumpkin, you guys, is also in this book. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. I think I have. A lot of Ditco dimensional things going on here. But yeah, I'll end it there. Oh, dude, one thing I forgot to show in the beginning of the stream, speaking of Gangster Boogie, I offered these during Savage Street Vigilante Kickstarter. I did signature original art book plates of Street Vigilante. So I'm doing the same with the Arachnid Enforcer Kickstarter campaign, but now you can choose. You can choose a Gangster Boogie plate or Arachnid Enforcer. Or, like you suggested, Jamie, do I offer both?
We need the set, Jim.
Like, is there so there's a set that there'll be a set then, right? That's the way to do it. That's probably the direction to go in.
I think that's a no-brainer.
Okay. And then give me 1 second. I'm going to show one last thing. Okay, there's just too many piles of stuff in the studio right now, so we're gonna wrap it up. I had okay. I'm releasing a 5-piece print set also in the Kickstarter, and I wanted to show the original art of those because I'm gonna be offering the original art, but there's just stacks of shit everywhere behind me, you guys, because I destroyed my studio to put all this stuff together that I'm showing. But
it's a good hook for the next stream. We'll show that in the next stream.
Thank you. Yeah, you know the deal, man. So this was a blast, though, you guys. I didn't really plan anything other than pulling these books out, going through some of my inspiration, my love of Spider-Man. Thank you so much for being along for the ride, for joining me, and Jamie. Jamie, thank you again. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
Was there any questions in the chat I missed or anything that people wanted to address before we take off? I
don't think I missed anything critical, but if anyone has anything, let us know.
Yeah, guys. And so right now I'm building the actual Kickstarter page every day with Rostin Meyer. Rostin did my fulfillment, built the Kickstarter for Street Vigilante with me. He absolutely crushed it, did a fantastic job. There were no complaints with our fulfillment. So I'm working with him again just because we are such a great team. And I've got 2 more variant covers coming from 2 artists that I have not announced yet. They're going to be spectacular, no pun intended or pun intended. And we'll keep hyping the project. I say it on every stream. You guys that are here already know, but if you don't mind, please tell a friend, tell people to sign up for the pre-launch. We've got over 700 people. I am still trying to hit that 1,000 people goal before October 1st. So spread the word. And I think that's sort of it, guys. I'm going to get back to working on comic pages for this project. And yeah, Tit Goblin, Jim Rugg actually did respond in a super positive way when he saw this stuff in Pittsburgh. I value Jim Rugg's opinion at the highest level. So when I was in Pittsburgh last year for Ed Piskor's Day of Remembrance at Phantom of the Attic, I showed him Savage Street Vigilante, and I'm just going to release this as a book for New York Comic Con. And he said, no, you got to do it as a Kickstarter. So Jim Rugg is is one of the people responsible for this whole Defective Comics line of books that I'm doing. Jamie, my earbuds died, but I just took them out. So
yeah, I think I heard
hopefully
that happen, but it's all good. We
still
can
good to
hear you.
go.
Yeah.
I can't hear you, but let's wrap it up there, guys. Thank you again. I'll talk to you soon. Good night.